5:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone, and welcome everyone who's watching from home. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Present.
Trustee Gett.
Present.
Trustee Kazam.
Present.
Trustee Goff.
Present.
Trustee Wigginton.
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg.
Let the record show Trustee Weisenberg is attending dinner in honor of his mother tonight, so I think that's a much more important place for him to be, and that's why he's absent. All right, again, welcome. We would be at correspondence, Madam Clerk.
I have two letters to read to the board. The first one is from the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council and reads as follows. Mayor Phelan, thank you for Peoria Heights' confirmed support of Greater Peoria EDC and the regional economy. It's great to have such amazing partners in this work. Thank you for your leadership in your community and on our board and in the region. Chris. I also have a letter here that reads as follows. Dear Chief Sutton, I write to you today to express gratitude to the officers who were patrolling the Heritage Square Courtyard Concert Series this past Saturday. My 4-year-old son, Palmer, and 6-year-old daughter, Nola, approached 2 uniformed officers near the back of the crowd to talk. They were very excited to talk to real-life cops and show off their Hot Wheels monster truck toys. The officers were very gracious and friendly towards the kids, both of whom came back to my wife, Jennifer, and I, happily chattering away about it. A few minutes later, one of the officers approached our family in our folding chairs. The officer handed us a gold-painted baseball, telling us it was good for free tickets to a Peoria Chiefs game. We thanked him profusely for this very nice gesture. I wish I had seen his name tag, but it was dark and I couldn't read it. The officer then went about his patrol duties. Unfortunately, we did not see him again. I wish we had. I'm a former Peoria Heights resident, a 2003 graduate of Peoria Heights High School, and my father still lives in the village. On behalf of our family, I want to thank the department and its officers for this generous and thoughtful gift to our kids. In these times when police officers and police departments are frequently criticized for their interactions with the public, sometimes rightfully so and sometimes not, this is a simple but wonderful example of the value you bring to our community. Good work. Very well done. Gratefully yours, Mitchell P. Hedrick.
All right, we would be at approval of the Board of Trustees minutes from August 16th, 2022. I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
A second, please.
Second.
Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We would be at comments from the audience. If anyone is here tonight to address the board, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Anyone here tonight to address the board? Going once, going twice. Comments from the audience are closed. We'll get right into new business, the old business, excuse me. There's a couple of updates by Administrator Sutton.
Thank you, Mayor. Last board meeting, if you remember, we had some complaints regarding Central Transport down on Route 29. Just wanted to update you, tell you that I did look into those complaints and talk to the manager of the business and also the project manager of all the construction. A couple complaints were that there were a lot of third shift construction going on. That was a myth. There was no construction during third shift. Everything was done during the day, complete by 5. They are bettering the property as far as drainage on the property, so it's not going out into Route 29, so I think that's a benefit for the village as well. But they are complete with construction, and I did look into the complaints that you received, and a majority of them were, like I said, just missed. So they were very open. So if we ever have any other issues, feel free to contact them. So it was a good conversation.
You have another update? Please go ahead.
I do. I have a fire department update. We concluded the hiring process last week. I did interview the top 5 candidates, and I want to introduce the board to our new Assistant Fire Chief, Matt Schott. Matt, if you'd come up and just introduce yourself and say a few words. I know Chief obviously knows you because you're a current member, but welcome, and the board might have a few questions.
As Chief said, my name is Matt Schott. Been in the Stock Fire Service for 15 years now, 5 of which I've spent here in the Heights. I'm a 4th generation firefighter and excited to start.
Welcome, and we're
Thank you.
thrilled to have you. So,
Does the board have any questions for Matt? Okay. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Just a couple other thank yous. I wanted to thank Chris Chandler for Public Works Department. All of the maintenance issues the board approved last meeting. He's done a great job of either scheduling or ordering all the materials, so that's been done. So Chris, thanks for all your hard work there. And also I want to thank Wayne Baum, who contacted me last week. He is going to come out tomorrow morning. If you see the stains that are on the top of the fountain here, they are going to clean those for us. And, you know, it's free of charge, obviously, but Wayne was very instrumental. If you remember, he was on the board at the time when this park was constructed. So he has a soft spot in his heart for the maintenance. He really appreciates how great the park looks and just said that if that's something they can help out, and I took him up on it. So they'll be doing that tomorrow morning. And again, just wanted to say thank you to Wayne Baum.
all right, thanks for those updates. Let's go right into new business. The first 4 deal with administration and finance. The first is approval of the Assistant Fire Chief salary and benefits. Trustee DeVore, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the Assistant Fire Chief salary and benefits.
A second, please.
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee DeVore.
Well, Administrator Sutton has done so much work and getting involved with other people to find out information on how we need to go about this. Since we have never, or recently have not had any kind of payroll or contracted fire positions, there was some information that we needed to find out from the IMRF for pensions and things like that. So after doing a lot of digging, he was able to find out some information, and we did get the salary at around $80,000, which was on the lower end of the budget that we did set for that. So thank you, Chief Sutton, for helping us to get there. This does cover all of our bases with that, and then also was reduced because of the fire chief reduction in stipend as well.
Thank you, Trustee DeVore. So just to sum it up, the administrator's role was to do the hiring, and now the board approves the spending for salary and benefits. Is there any questions or discussion?
Well, I want to also thank Administrator Sutton in working with this, what was presented from the board to the chief. He took what we asked him to do and ran with it, and I think what we see here, based on the stipulations that were given to him, he made the best of that and has come up with what we see here in this position. So I applaud you, Chief Sutton, for making this happen. I think we also want to say thank you to Chief Thompson there, because I think a little bit of this cost savings comes from you too. So thank you for that, Chief, as well. It's the vote of the confidence in this position from you, and that's been a consistent through the time you've been up here. So thank you, Chief, for that. So thank you both, Chief Sutton and Chief Thompson.
All right.
Can I say
Anyone
something,
else?
Mayor? Can I say something? I would
Let's
like to take
let the board have a chance.
Okay, sorry.
Anyone else? All right, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank the administrator. He did all the work on this, and did all the legwork on all of it, doing all the interviews. I didn't have anything to do with it, which I thought I shouldn't because of knowing Matt, and everybody knew my position on where that was going to be, so I tried to stay out of it as best I could, and I really appreciate what you did.
All right, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is approval of ordinance 2022-1684, an ordinance amending Title 10, Chapter 13, Section 5 of the Village Code of the Village of Peoria Heights regarding hours of operation of adult-use cannabis dispensing organizations. Trustee DeVore, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-1684.
And a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee DeVore.
Okay, so we've already passed this ordinance when everything came out with how we had to choose our ordinances based on how we were gonna allow, recreational cannabis, we did pass this, and, I believe the zoning board set the hours of operations to 7 PM. Now that we do have a developer coming forward, they went to zoning and have requested that the hours of operation be allotted to be to 9 PM. So this did go through zoning. It was passed unanimously to extend the hours from 7 PM to 9 PM, and then it's here for us just for final approval.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions?
So the only movement from our existing is a 2-hour increase in the evening. There's nothing earlier in the day, it's just in the evening.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? If you're ready for the question, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next, approval of Resolution 2022-04, a resolution approving funding and IDOT agreements to modernize the traffic signal at War Memorial Drive and Monroe Avenue. Trustee DeVore, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2022-04.
And a
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee DeVore.
Okay, so we know that the traffic light at War Memorial and Monroe does need to be updated, and so this is an agreement with IDOT that they would pay 90%, we would pay 10%, because 2 legs of that is our property, and the rest of it is the state road. So the amount of the 10% comes out to like I'm just looking for it, it was $3,795. So that 10% cost share in the project is what we're approving on this tonight.
Thank you. And Mr. Aldridge, this has been something you've been working on. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, this is not directly related to the development project, so there'll be another agreement with IDOT for the development. We've been talking about Bex and another development across the street, so it doesn't detract from that project, though. So this is an improvement IDOT has anticipated, and they're going to improve several intersections. This is just one of them. And the detail is that they're going to replace the traffic signal cabinet and controller systems and some other associated control systems on this intersection. So again, when the plans are to improve the intersection with potentially new turn lanes, things like that, this will not detract from that future improvement. But this is a standard type of an agreement for traffic signals where there's municipal legs and state legs.
All right, questions? Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
That passes. Next is approval for a request to use Tower Park on Thursdays in September 2022 for Peoria Heights Farmers Market. Trustee DeVore, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the request to use Tower Park on Thursdays for the farmer's market.
And a second?
Second.
And again, back to you, Trustee DeVore.
Okay, so the farmer's market, which has been currently behind or in the PAPS parking lot, is doing very successful, but they're really struggling with a few things. One, visibility. It's really hard for them to be visible there, and then they've even thought about like putting banners up or things like that, but that does not fall within our like ordinance regulations. And then also where they're located, it really cuts down on the amount of parking that can be used for restaurants or patrons to the farmer's market. So they have requested that they could move if they could move the farmer's market to Tower Park. I think this is a really great benefit for us to do that. One, it's getting a little bit of use out of Tower Park on that night. I know that it's really busy, throughout all of our restaurant area on Thursdays, so this kind of spreads it out a little bit. Also, this is going to alleviate a issue when it comes to the Taste of the Heights that's coming up in September, because both of those events will be on the same night. So this will allow more parking for the restaurants and for the Taste of the Heights, but also give the farmers market the visibility that they need. Julie is here tonight, and she did reach out to me. She sent me her packet of information on what the vendors have to do, So like they are responsible for their own garbage, so everything would be cleaned up in Tower Park when they're finished, and they would be respectful of the space as well.
Another terrific explanation of what we're voting on. Julie, is there anything you'd like to add? If so, please come forward.
So first of all, thank you for presenting this, and thank you for your attention on it. We've had a very successful market, slow start, but a successful market. And just every Thursday, 3 to 7 is our farmers market, and we're finding that we have about 20 to 30 vendors on average. Now that school started, it's gotten closer to the 20 than the 30. I wanted to make one correction. The Taste is actually moving their day to Wednesday this year. So that was going to get crazy. So they're doing a Wednesday and our market's a Thursday, which I don't think is really a big deal. And if there's any questions, I'd be glad to answer it. I think that it's a very, very nice fit for the size of the market it is, the visibility, and almost like looking at the Heights in the big picture. I like how we're spreading out the activities. That parking lot's extremely full for the patrons coming in to do restaurants. It's nice that they see our market there, but I think spreading it out will be helpful too.
Questions? Again, thanks, Julie, for bringing this to the village. Another way where people on a budget can find very affordable, normally affordable food and healthy food. You've got some great vendors there, all sorts of different vendors, and it's just a great, fun night to bring the family, and you don't have to really buy anything. You can see all sorts of things, and art and music, and so I encourage everyone to come up and support that.
This proposal is asking for September, so I'd like to give you a heads up that in moving it up here to Tower Park, if I have the approval, then what I'd really like to consider is keeping it here for 2023, establishing it, and I always look at the silver lining that if there's a good problem to have, we might outgrow it, and we'll just work with that when the time comes.
All right, well, thank you. We'll see what happens and work with Trustee DeVore and administration to get that approved for next year. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Goff?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Trustee DeVore, anything else you would like to update us on?
No, that is all, Mayor.
Mr. Administrator, anything under administration or finance we left out? Okay, let's get right into economic and community development. Trustee Kazam is on the phone. She has two items. The first is approval of ordinance 2022-1685, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a first agreement to the TIF redevelopment agreement by and between the Village of Peoria Heights and MK Enterprises 1 LLC. Trustee Kazam, are you there to make a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-1685.
Second? Second, please.
Second.
All right, go ahead, Trustee Kazam.
As the agenda states, this is an amendment to the TIF redevelopment agreement between the Village of Peoria Heights and MK Enterprises, which I think that our viewers will more commonly know as the 4500 building at Prospect. I defer to Wayne Aldridge to explain further on this subject.
All right, Mr. Aldridge.
Thank you. And first, Michelle Hubble, who's the representative of the developer, couldn't be here tonight. She regrets not being here. She had a family health issue, so she wanted me to express that regret. One thing, the fairly sophisticated agreement, the original agreement, and I would say that the developer has performed in accordance with the agreement so far, so that's very good. The developer contacted us really to consult with the staff and our economic development consultant as the rate of return on this project wasn't what they anticipated, and that was primarily due to lower sales tax, lower BDD income, and things like that that were in the original agreement, primarily due to COVID. So it's a big, important development with a lot of, retail and restaurant in it, so it's a very important project for Peoria Heights. So the good thing is that the development is now showing a very strong occupancy and strong commercial activity at this point, so very hopeful for the future. Again, this agreement was very complex, including reimbursement through TIF funds, BDD funds, as well as municipal sales tax, so a very complex agreement. Staff looked at this along with our consultants to help try to improve the short-term liquidity of the project without diminishing the cumulative effect of the project either on the village or the developer. And so we came up with a concept where the TIF reimbursement, the total project cost reimbursable expense would be about $1.8 million. So that doesn't change in this new concept. To try to recover these funds for the developer quicker, the BDD and the municipal sales tax reimbursement was originally supposed to end in 2022. So we're now proposing to extend that participation or reimbursement from those two funding sources until the developer reaches that $1.8 million in reimbursable funds. In effect, because we're adding the BDD and municipal sales tax reimbursement, extending that, and including the TIF fund reimbursement, that's a 2-year advancement. That may be the wrong term of funds. So the developer will have received all their reimbursement in 2031 instead of 2032 per the agreement. So that, in effect, is what this amendment covers. The amendment also had a parking provision in it where some of the private parking, which they own, would be dedicated municipal or public parking. That doesn't work out sometimes for these projects because it's hard to enforce and administrate these types of things. Plus, the agreement also stated that the village would have maintenance responsibility of these private parking spaces. So,
including plowing.
yes, yes. So, and that's a big, issue, of course, for Public Works. We're not exactly set up to plow parking lots in the winters and things like that. So that provision was modified basically to allow that just for parking for the development, which in effect is public parking because that's a major development. Most of those parking spaces would be taken up by patrons of the development. The developer wouldn't enforce that too much. I think there's some instances where there might be employees parking in there. They wanted the ability to, put flyers on these cars and things like that. So not heavy-handed enforcement at all. And then if we had events or something like that, they would work with us to provide parking as they could. So those are the basic changes reflected in this agreement.
Thank you, Wayne. Before we take questions, I'm just going to ask Superintendent Chandler to chime in on this. I know you're relieved that if this is approved, your crew will not have to plow the parking lot.
Yeah, it'll take an extra amount of time off of that. That would be excellent. Yeah, it would help us out a lot if we didn't have to take care of that.
All right. Thank you. Questions? Discussion?
So Wayne, what I'm hearing from you is that we are extending for this development the ability for the developer to recoup expenses that had previously ended this year?
Through, yes, through BDD and sales tax reimbursement. So extending that reimbursement for several years. And then cumulatively, that, including TIF, they would reach their 1.8 million of eligible expenses 2 years sooner.
And if we kept the status quo, this complicated status quo that I had done in 2016 or so, what would happen next year if the status quo was maintained?
The contribution to their eligible redevelopment costs would continue for TIF, so TIF would still keep reimbursing them, but the BDD and sales tax would not.
So they would have to recoup their money out of the TIF?
TIF, and because they're just recovering it from TIF, it would extend, we calculate 2 years longer for them to recover all the costs.
Which is still in the agreement. They can draw all that through 2037?
2032.
2032.
That's the calculation.
And our benefit from the village perspective is that we get to not pave or to pave and plow that parking lot.
We get that, plus, once we get two more, once 2031 occurs, we get everything. There's no more reimbursable.
Well, and if you disagree, Mr. Aldridge, let me know. But I think in essence, this benefits both parties. We're being business-friendly to a group of people who have invested a whole lot of money here in a new building and have attracted a diversified group of tenants that are all paying, not all, but I think most are all paying sales tax. So they're contributing to the BDD. In my mind, this really doesn't change the payback, but gives them more time in the agreement to achieve that. And I know Chief Sutton, this is a side issue, but the amount of issues we've had to deal with plowing that lot, you have personally fielded a few calls because on one or two instances, our crew forgot to plow the lot, and that was in part of the agreement. So I think we win there, but we win by helping out a group of investors who are good corporate citizens and have good tenants within the building. That'd be how I'd sum it up.
I also want to point out, that is the only lot or any agreement the village has that they plow. We do not do any other private lots. But again, that was, as Mr. Aldridge stated, it was a interesting agreement that was put together back in 2016, so.
Doesn't that hold a liability to the village too, with the plowing of the parking lot? Like, what happens if someone gets hurt from that?
That's a question for council.
It's beneficial for the village not to plow it.
And how many spots, municipal parking spots, do we lose with this amendment?
There were 39 spots.
How many TIF districts do we have currently that are taking advantage of TIFs? I'm sorry. How many businesses or developments are taking advantage of TIFs?
Quite a few. I don't have a number offhand.
We'd have to get that for you.
But there's quite a few.
Unless Stephanie would have a shot at it.
I can think of 4 off the top of my head, but there might be more.
And, I mean, my only concern is everything was negotiated for the development then as well, and to be conducive to economic development. And I understand that it's not turned out as quickly materializing as one party may have hoped. I'm just concerned that this amendment, we open ourselves up to other amendments when things don't maybe materialize as one party may have hoped. But I understand that there's other things wrapped up in this. I'm just saying, as an abundance of caution, we need to understand what this states.
No, I understand what you're saying, and you're exactly right. I guess my approach is the mayor stated being business-friendly, and Mr. Aldridge stated during COVID was a big part of this, as far as what businesses went through. But during that time, I want to point out, they also invested $40,000 in 12 Bar in the height of COVID.
That was 300,000, wasn't it?
What's that? What I said?
300,000.
Yeah, 300,000, in the height of COVID. So, they've been very pro heights, and I think this is just one gesture, but I do agree with you. You do have to be careful. But I don't think this is too much of a reach, considering this complex agreement that, we're dealing with. I do think it cleans it up a little bit, and also showing that the village is business-friendly, and that we are, as far as the plowing of the lots, that's a huge lift from the Public Works Department and myself. But I do understand what you're saying, Trustee Wigington, but I support the change in the agreement, just because of their track record and with the village.
And again, those are good questions, and I think we're having a good dialogue here, but you take things, in my opinion, on a case-by-case basis, and you evaluate them when they come before you, and I think this is a good decision. But again, it's in your hands. If you choose to vote against it, that's what will happen. Also, Mr. Aldridge, I think the developer might have been part of this, so the original developer might have overstated some things to the owners of the property, and they're sorting through those issues as well. So rents might have been more generous than the original development agreement.
So would this agreeing to this change of agreement obligate us to do this if we're asked again by another party?
Doesn't obligate us.
No, there's no obligation.
Okay.
I would say, again, unusual circumstances created primarily by COVID, but the property is leased. I think it's fully leased, and again, that's what the original, I believe, intent of this whole thing was to do, to bring new business to the Heights, generate BDD, generate sales tax, create jobs, and I think it's performed well.
I also want to say one thing about COVID, though. I think this village, this administration, went extra lengths during COVID to ensure that our businesses, as well as our property owners, were protected as best we could. So I think that this village has gone and done very well in the interest of our economic development to protect our businesses during the height of the pandemic. So I applaud this administration as well as Administrator Sutton in doing that.
Thank you. Anyone else like to chime in here? Trustee Kazam, did we leave anything out? Are you there?
Yes, Mayor, I am here. I actually am listening to all this dialogue. I just like to ask Wayne one more time. I guess the real question is, and we all know that we want to do the best for our investors in the village of Peoria Heights, but what is the downside, if any, of entering into this redevelopment agreement as we're proposing?
I think it's fair. I mean, there might be some funds, because of the time value of money, that type of thing, that the village does not recover. But again, the village recovers. They recover their $1.8 million in the village in 2 years' time, then collects everything. I mean, BDD, sales tax, TIF, everything. So I think there's a benefit there, and you can argue that it's really very fair to both sides.
Thank you. That's really what I was getting at. I think that in the end, after examining this, we wait a little bit longer, but there is very little downside to the village of Peoria Heights by entering into this renegotiation or amendment to the agreement.
Okay, anyone else who hasn't spoken? If you're ready for the question, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Due to the fact that I own two businesses in this building and pay into the BDD and this tip, I will be abstaining from voting.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Goff.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
Let the record show that that passes, Madam Clerk, with Trustee DeVore abstaining.
Correct.
All right. Next is approval of a site plan application filed by Bart Cumming seeking approval of a site plan for development of a cigar lounge on the property located at 3901 North Prospect Road. Trustee Kazam, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
And a second.
Second.
All right, Trustee Kazam, please go ahead.
As you stated, Mayor, Bart Cummings, who right now is at 3901 North Prospect and has a different business in this, at this property, is looking to change his property into a cigar lounge. I know Kate Cummings is Kate Carter is in the audience this evening, and I asked her to elaborate on this, please.
Go ahead.
Oh, I would like to also add they are not looking for a liquor license, and it is simply a change of business at that address.
Counsel?
Sure, this has gone through zoning. This was a request to have a site plan for a cigar lounge at 3901 North Prospect Road, that is in the B2 district. This was unanimously approved at zoning, and it is just looking for board approval for the site plan for this operation of a cigar lounge.
Thank you, and we're certainly excited, Bart, for your investment in the village, and one of our goals is to extend the business district as far as we can south, so I think that helps us achieve that. Any questions or discussion?
We're excited to be the tip of the spear on the redevelopment heading south there.
We're excited to have you. Can't wait for you to get open. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, when you're ready, call the roll.
Trustee DeVore.
Aye.
Trustee Gett.
Aye.
Trustee Kazam.
Aye.
Trustee Goff.
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton.
Aye.
That passes, and the best of luck to you. Mike, will you make sure, if you have some time to get with Bart after the meeting or at some time in the future so we can get some news up on the website? All right, thank you. Trustee Kazam, anything else under economic and community development?
No, that's everything, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, we'd be at miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous to come for the board, Chief? Go ahead.
Saturday, the fire department's going to be at Cyberling and Prospect. We'll have the ladder truck set up for, with the flag on the end of it. It's September 10th. We're not doing it on the 11th this year.
All right, good. Please support them. Anyone else?
Mayor, just one quick thing. So some of the area families have been approaching me with material from previous celebrations from Peoria Heights. This one in particular is from the 75th Jubilee from 1973. I'll pass that down. Some are from the Journal Star from when we had our 1998 version of talking about 100 years in the Heights. Just some people have just been approaching me with some of these things. So I wanted to share that. There's some really interesting facts and figures on the Heights history from Galena Road all the way up to right up to where we sit today. So just some really good material for us to look at and maybe get some ideas for our 125th coming up sooner than you know. So
I think we need to do a time capsule.
it's not a bad idea.
I heard this thing over the weekend about this town that just celebrated their 150th, and they dug up a time capsule, and I just thought that was kind of fun.
That is cool.
So I meant to email you about that.
That would be, I mean, I think there's so many great ideas that could come out. I think, teaming up with some of our community leaders that always seem to come around. I think Julie Biafel is one of those people that would be helpful, to just plan. Your sister, maybe one of them as well. So there are a lot of really interested individuals, and I've been really pleased with some of the feedback that I've gotten from our community members.
Well, I appreciate you bringing this to us, but if you look in that book, you'll see that it took large committees of people to achieve that, and I'm ready to appoint a chairman or co-chairman anytime that someone steps up, so that's what it's going to take.
I think, Mayor, if Mike or someone is willing to, put something out on our website, encouraging people to contact the office who would be willing to volunteer, just maybe, it may be a lot more hours than I'm saying, but there would be some hour commitment. But I think it being community-led, just like it has been, this has never really been from the board. It's all been our community members have really kind of taken role.
I'll stand corrected, but I'll look down at my friend Trustee Goff. I think the Chamber of Commerce and others probably spearheaded those events in the past, but go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, there were, as I recall, there was a lot of involvement there. And actually, to speak to Sarah's thought on the time capsules, if I'm not mistaken, they did a time capsule at the 75th that they exposed at the 100th. So it would be a good idea to continue that, I feel.
I noticed a few Goffs in the book, so.
One or two, maybe.
Okay, well, again, we'll move forward on that
Okay.
once folks raise their hand. Any other miscellaneous?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that we'll be doing seal coating south of Lake Street tomorrow on Illinois, Faber, Vincent, Atlantic, and Hazard, and Division, and St. Joseph Court. So there are no parking signs up. Park there tonight, but try and get it moved first thing in the morning so they can get that done. They plan on being done with that in one day, so one day and out would be great.
Thank you, and we apologize for the inconvenience, but we need to do this.
That's right, exactly.
Any other miscellaneous? Trustee Gett?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
We're adjourned.